Two. All right, on the latest edition of Conversations, we prepare for the launch of the 8th annual Middleburg Film Festival with the recipient of the Distinguished Composer Award and the official musical ambassador for the Salamander Hotel and Resorts, Emmy Award nominee Chris Bowers. Hey, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you, Tim.
Hey, man, we talked, as I was saying before we came on air, this is, we see each other every year at Middleburg. You were with your wife last year. We were hanging out, kicking it. The year before, we had actually interviewed you in a very impromptu hallway interview when you were there for Green Book. I was talking to Sheila Johnson earlier today, and she was telling me that, Lee Daniel was looking for a composer for the U.S. versus Billie Holiday. She was like, I got the guy for you. His name is Chris Bowers. So, bro, you rolling in the right circles right now, man. When you got Sheila Johnson got your back, how's everything been going since the last time we talked? And when I say last time we talked, not last year when you were with your love, but I'm talking about when we talked a couple of years ago from Green Book. How has life accelerated for you since then?
Yeah, it's been pretty wild. I think that Green Book and the success of it really helped with me doing studio features. It's kind of one of those things as a composer that it's really difficult to get any studio features if you haven't done one. And being a part of Green Book and it being so successful, I think just really opened the doors in that space. And so now working on these other projects that I'm really excited to be working on at this point of my career, feel really honored to be working on at this point of my career. I feel like all really came because of Green Book.
Now, when you talk about these features, I know it's funny. I ran into Ava DuVernay earlier this year at the Critics' Choice Awards. And Ava and I, like I said, have known each other for close to 25 years now. But I was trying to explain to her that When They See Us, was something that was critically acclaimed. I was never able to watch it because I couldn't get through the first episode because I would get so upset and angry. So to this day, I understand that it's amazing and everybody who's seen it talks about how powerful it is. What was it like working on a project? So again, when you talk about transitioning from a Green Book to When They See Us to now the U.S. versus Billie Holiday, all three of these stories talk about race in America, and they talk about that divide and that struggle. For you, how is that making music? You're a young guy that's barely a smidge over 30. How is it for you to kind of channel such emotions at such a young age, man, to kind of execute these projects?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one, it speaks to just the Black experience in this country and the fact that, there is no age. I mean, when you look at When They See Us, like those boys were, the youngest one was 14 maybe, or actually I think Kevin might have been 12. So, I mean, you're experiencing things like that at that age. And I feel like that just shows the kind of country that we're in. And fortunately, I've never experienced anything like that. But at the same time, I remember when I first saw that first episode with Ava, that's what she showed me as a part of my interview for the job. I came and spoke with her, and then she asked me to come back and just watch the first episode and then have another conversation. And after watching that first episode, I went to go speak with her and immediately started getting emotional as I was talking about it, just because of what I had seen, just because of how much I felt like I could empathize with these young boys, thinking about how much my parents had an anxiety and fear about where I was at 24/7 when I was a kid. And for me as a kid, I felt like, oh, like, why are you so paranoid? But then as I got older, the more I realized why they were so concerned and why they were so worried. And I think that, feeling that on a daily basis, like I remember I was talking to a really close friend of mine, another young Black man that went to Juilliard with me. And after the George Floyd incident, we were talking on the phone and we were talking about how, like, the few days right after it happened, both of us didn't really feel anything just because we had seen that so many times. And it took a while for me, it took like maybe a week or so to start actually like feeling something. But I think that it's just something that we've experienced so much in this life that I feel like the only place I can put it really is in the music for these projects. I don't really have any other space to what do you do with that feeling, that anger, that sadness that we have like so much of our life. And I feel like for me, the safest place to really like fully go there is when I'm creating music, because then at least I can put all that into the music, and then hopefully that helps the project.
So, I'm interested in talking about process a little bit. When you talk about, after the George Floyd killing, how it took you a week to feel, and then you were able to channel that back into the music. Mm. When Chris, and again, I'm trying to figure out how to word this in a way that it makes sense, because my mind is spinning, because I got so much curiosity around, folks who do what you do. What does it mean to when you're channeling? Are you channeling? Do you hear melodies? Are you hearing certain notes? Are you hearing, a series of notes, and then you kind of expound on those? What would be the process in scoring, especially when we're talking about the types of movies that you are scoring?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's really visceral. I feel like it's most of the time whenever I'm thinking about a scene, no matter what it's about, I usually will step away from the scene and try to think about what is the feeling that I am supposed to feel here or do feel here just by what we're seeing. Sometimes there's a feeling that we want to project onto the scene that maybe isn't present in the scene, but the director wants me to kind of add another element to it. And so usually I just kind of think about that feeling a lot and start to think about maybe other pieces of music that feel that way, maybe like times in my life where I felt that way or whatever it is. And then I usually improvise, kind of think with that in mind. And it often leads me to something that what starts first is pretty random sometimes. Like sometimes it's a melody, sometimes it's a chord progression, sometimes it's a rhythm or a tempo. But usually it starts with the feeling and the emotion first. And then I'll start to feel like, oh, actually, if I were in that mood, I would want to feel this tempo, or if I were in that mood, I would want to feel this way. And like I was thinking about it for a project recently I just worked on where this woman is dealing with a trauma, and it took a very long time to figure out what the theme should be or the cue should be for that trauma, something that she's dealing with throughout the film. And for me, the first time I wrote a piece for it, the cue that I wrote, I feel like was too observational. It was too much like I'm watching this person go through this difficult thing. And so it felt like sad, but it didn't feel like it was connected to her as a character. And then when I started thinking about how I would feel in that position, or how I feel about my own trauma, or how I feel in those moments, the thing that came to me was like, oh, in those moments, I'm craving a sense of comfort and security, even if I don't know that I am, or even if I don't want to. That's really what's happening there. And so if I write a cue that feels like the absence of comfort and security, or the longing for comfort and security, maybe that will be more impactful. And that cue ended up working so much better, because it almost felt like the music was representing something that wasn't there, as opposed to like trying to show how sad this thing was. And so sometimes it feels like when I think about how I feel or how I could feel and how the music could help me get there, that usually kind of helps me in that process.
Man, that's an absolutely brilliant answer, man. I mean, now I sort of understand it, because I was going to say that people often ask me as a film critic, what are the elements that comprise together to make a film? And music is always one that I talk about, because in certain films, whether it's films, television shows, I use an example, Lovecraft Country, which I think does an amazing job with the music, that the music often serves as a character that helps move the story along, or helps you feel something, as you were just talking about, like, in a certain scene, if there's something missing that the characters aren't doing, the music may fill in, whether it's, them finding these spoken word poems that they use week to week. So, I'm always fascinated with composers, because you guys are in the, you know, we all are serving in different multi kind of different dimensional areas of entertainment, but each piece has to work in order for the overall execution of a project to be successful. The music has got to be good, the acting's got to be good, the screenwriting, everything has got to come together. So Chris, you've been kicking butt, bro. You've been getting it done, man. You know, I keep running into you. I'm like, dang, Chris, you on the rise. So question for you as well.
Yeah.
When I think about film composing, which is the area that you're in now, Quincy Jones is always like the platinum standard, 34 scores. You know, there have been other folks like Terrence Blanchard, who was honored last year, getting the award that you're getting this year. Stanley Clarke is somebody who I know has done great score work. Who is it that kind of inspires you, or, you know, not necessarily saying you want to be the next one of these people because you are Chris Bauer, but whose career would you like to closely parallel as it relates to composing in this area?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Quincy's a huge person for me, primarily because of not only what he did as a Black man, as a Black composer, but also how he straddled being an incredibly successful composer, and was one of the greatest producers of our lifetime, and had this other thing outside of composing. And on top of that, the fact that he was a composer that I think was maybe one of the first, actually he was one of the first Black composers to just be a film composer and not be like the Black film composer. Like, I remember reading something about how, I think it was for either In Cold Blood or
The Pawnbroker.
Yeah, one of those like first ones. Henry Mancini told the director, "You should hire Quincy Jones," and the director was like, "Oh, well, I don't know if I want like a Black score or a jazz score." And Henry Mancini convinced his director to hire him, and it's so awesome that he was able to break that barrier of, up until that point, all the Black composers that were working in film were only hired to do jazz scores or to do the jazz moment in a film, and he definitely broke that barrier. So him and John Williams, just because John Williams started as a jazz pianist and then became a film composer and became one of the greatest of all time, and so I feel like he's somebody I've always admired.
So in the middle of all of what we've been dealing with over the last 7 or 8 months, man, I mean, you know, you would honestly be here now in Middleburg getting ready for the weekend. How has life changed for you since we've had this pandemic? And, you know, I know creatively, since you're scoring music, you can score music anywhere. So you're home now. Can you pan over and show the audience this beautiful piano that you're sitting there with? Yeah. Look at that, man. Now, whose piano? Whose piano is that? Is that a Shad? What is it?
So it's a Yamaha, but it's a special piano for me because it's the piano that I got when I was basically when I was a kid. My parents bought me a piano that was like a $200 or $300 piano that was pretty, like all the keys used to fall, the top of the keys used to fall off when I practiced and all that kind of stuff. And I had that up until I was 16, and they basically told me, if I get a full scholarship to college, they'll either buy me a car or a piano, and I chose a piano. And this is the piano they bought me when I got a scholarship to Berkeley.
You see my face?
I didn't even go to Berkeley.
What kid turns out a car, man? But you know what's funny? You're right. You ultimately ended up being right, because you made a lot more money with that piano than that car would have been worth for you.
Yeah, totally. Definitely an investment.
So Chris, man, you know, I'm very excited. I was very excited when you were given or honored this year as a recipient of the Distinguished Composer Award. What does that award mean? And I realize that this is this is kind of a continuation as your career continues to build. These sorts of accolades will continue to come for you. But what does it mean for someone like a Sheila Johnson, who has taken such interest in your career, who has given you some opportunities and has been there to open some doors for you? What does it mean to be a recipient of this particular award from Middleburg Film Festival?
Yeah, it means a lot. It means a great deal. I think that, you know, Sheila, when I first met her, she just, she feels legendary. I mean, she is like a legend, but I think just even her presence, you can feel that. And yet at the same time, she's so warm and inviting. Like the fact that that first time that I went there, I really felt like a member of the Salamander family just from that first weekend experience of visiting Middleburg, and I felt incredibly honored that somebody that's had the life that she's had, that's had the experience that she has, that has the knowledge that she has, or the wisdom, see something in me that she feels is important to support. And so I feel like this award means so much primarily because of who it's coming from. I think often some of these awards might not carry as much weight, but I feel like having her support and belief means a great deal. And I think it's, especially as a young Black composer, I think that like when I think about people like Terrence or Stanley Clarke or Marcus Miller, like, it's kind of like it's almost like I can't fail because of all the work that they've done to get to the point where I could even be here, right? And Sheila's in that line of type of people where like she's done so much work and broken so many barriers that having a life that I have or having aspirations that I have is only possible because of her or people like her. And it just is a reminder to continue to try to push the needle forward, not only for whomever's next in line, but also just because I feel like if I don't do that, I'd be doing a disservice to all the work that they've done.
All right, man, we got several minutes left with you, man. And when I talked to Sheila this morning, I know she's a retired violinist, and she recently now said that she's taking up the cello. And wow. I said next year or the next time we have an in-person Middleburg Film Fest, I said, why don't you just get Chris to play the piano in the lobby? You guys give like a small, intimate. She was like, if you give me a year, I think I'll be good.
Yeah, I would definitely do that.
So there you go, man. That's your next in-person event. Like,
yeah.
Oh, man, so question for you. I know you spend so how much time are you spending on average a day in working? Let's say Monday through Friday week. How many hours a day are you spending sitting in that room composing?
I think that one thing is that I wish that most of work was composing. It's funny, during quarantine, like kind of at the beginning of it, I started keeping a tally of my day on a 30-minute increment just to kind of get a sense of like how I was spending my time. And it made me frustrated how much time I'm sending emails or like on calls or that kind of stuff, but then having to remind myself that that's part of the work of being a composer. It's like, I think the music is the fun and easy part. It's like all the other administrative work that could be more time consuming. But as far as how much time, I basically like, it works out so that I have maybe 5 personal hours every day. Like, I think that out of a 24-hour day, I usually am up maybe like 18 of those hours because I usually sleep around 4 to 6 hours a night. Maybe I'm trying to get a little bit more lately, but let's say an average of 6. And so, out of that 6 or 18 hours that's left, 13 of those hours are spent working, either composing or emailing and things like that. And that's pretty much on a daily basis. Even the weekends, I'm usually still working pretty full on during the weekend as well.
You do realize you're in a relationship, right?
Yeah, she reminds me all the time. Yeah.
You got to make time. Bro, where's your assistant at? Do we have an assistant?
I have 2, yeah.
Damn, are you still doing a lot of work with 2?
Yeah, it's more so just because I'm continuing to learn how to balance the amount of projects. Like, I think being so excited about all the opportunities in front. Like right now I'm working on 2 TV shows and 3 features. And so it's usually like, that's kind of the workload at the time. So I feel like if I don't do that many hours, then something's going to fall through the cracks.
Did you say 2 TV shows and 3 features, or was it 3 TV shows and 2 features?
The first one, yeah, 2 shows and 3 features. I mean, it's luckily it's working out right now where each one's in a different, like one show's finishing, the other show's in pre-production and is a musical. So we're just working on the songs right now. The 3 features, one is the U.S. versus Billie Holiday. We're almost done with that. The other one is Respect, about Aretha Franklin, and that one's pretty much done. Like I have one more cue to write for that, and then I'm working on Space Jam, and that's not finished until next February. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess here's where we'll leave this because I know you got to go. You will be what we call a frequent guest on this show because all these projects are still coming out. So we will. So now we have you for the Middleburg Film Fest, the U.S. versus Billie Holiday. I'm not sure exactly. I know it's been pushed back to next year. Space Jam, I think, is like a 2022 movie. I don't see that one coming anytime remotely soon. And I guess Genius is going to be sometime next year.
Yeah, and it's not Genius because Genius they're doing it's.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're doing Respect. The one you're doing is with Jennifer Hudson.
Yeah. Genius is the Cynthia Erivo one. I think Terrence is scoring that one. Yeah, and then this is the Jennifer.
So you said Terrence is doing the other one.
Yeah, he's doing the other Aretha one. Yeah, I'm so interested to see how that sounds.
So that's going to be interesting. Comparing these sets. Composer beef. No! Hey, bro, but seriously, Chris, I mean, I want to continue to congratulate you. I love your spirit. I definitely love your work. I love your work ethic, especially in hearing the fact that any man who's got 2 assistants and still doing all that work, it sounds like you either need another assistant, or we got to work on time management, because you got to. Who has 5 projects going on simultaneously, man? Who is that guy in the middle of quarantine? Who's the guy with 5 projects right now?
Yeah, I definitely feel super, super lucky. That's for sure.
So you're getting the Distinguished Composer Award. Is that this Saturday? Is that going to be?
I guess so. Yeah, we actually ended up filming a bit of a concert just last week. So I think they're going to air that or show that during the festival this weekend. But I'm not sure which day, but maybe Saturday. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, brother, much continued success, man. And I definitely make sure you find some time to spend with the lovely wife.
Yes, definitely.
Find some time to continue keep doing what you're doing, brother. I appreciate you, man. Just you are a source. As you've been inspired by others, there's some younger folks that are out there that are watching you who are being inspired by you. So keep on doing what you're doing, Chris.
Thank you, Tim. Really appreciate it.
All right, brother. You take care of yourself, man. And hopefully we will see each other in the very near future.
Yeah, hope so.
You take care, Chris.
All right, man. You too.
Bye.
Bye.